Hey guys, it's about beer 30. Let's take a walk into the kitchen and see what's in the fridge today. Hey everybody, thanks for stopping by Gregsbeerreviews. Look at this fancy bottle with the wax on top of it. Wax? What the hell? That's just on a more hog as far as I'm concerned. Useless. Useless. Just adds cost to the beer, doesn't help the beer last any longer. As long as they don't have a problem with the capping process, it's just something to make the beer cost more. Just my opinion though. This is their Tuscan grain brandy aged coffee porter from St. Archer Brewing Company, who have been bought out by Miller Coors. My personal opinion, I got this from Donovan and the guys out there at Servall Liquors in San Diego, craftcity.com on the internet. Check them out. Go to the internet if you're not in the San Diego area, and look at all the beers that these guys have on hand and can ship to you if you're not in that area, as long as your state allows them to ship beers to you. So, not a fan of the Middle Coors or AB InBev buying out all these craft beer breweries when they snub their nose at us every chance they get on every commercial. They do. They'd rather tout their horse piss, Coors Light, Miller Light, Bud Light, which is garbage, guys. It's shit beer as far as I'm concerned. I drank enough of that stuff in my younger days to float a battleship around. I've told you this 100 times. If you're just wanting to grab something that's cheap and get you drunk, that's what you need to grab. If you want something that's got more taste and don't have a lot of garbage in the beer, like rice or corn or adjuncts or any of that kind of stuff, get into the craft beer scene. But even then, just like this, these guys are trying to get their hands on that scene too and buy up everything they can get their hands on. So, that's enough about that. This is a huge beer being brandy barrel aged coffee porter, 12.85%. Big beer, big boys beer. Commercial description on this one says, this beer is part of a duality that compromises our feature on coffee beer. We layered fruit notes on fruit notes, aging our imperial porter in brandy barrels and adding Kenyan Karagatu or Gatu coffee from Bird Rock Coffee Roasters. Vanilla, chocolate, blackberry, and blackcurrant aromas explode, leaving a multifaceted beer, setting itself apart from the coffee beer paradigm. Complex yet smooth on the finish, but this coffee beer, you, and they put all these big, I mean, how much do they pay somebody to figure out what to write on these commercial descriptions? With its richness and nightcap you're looking for. So, very fancy bottle, guys. I mean, it's all silk screened on the bottle. Very high dollar bottle with high dollar wax on top of it. So, that's all we need to talk about. IBUs are probably not listed. I went to the website and couldn't figure out anything. Website is a mess as far as I'm concerned, guys. Very nice looking bottle. It is a very nice looking bottle. So let's try to get the wax carved off this thing so we can get it into the damn glass. I'm sure this is an expensive bottle to buy. It's not going to be cheap, being a 12.8%er. And then having somebody stand at the end of the bottling line and dip each individual one of these bottles into a wax. And like I said, and once I carve it, let me see if I can get this heavy wax on this. Really heavy. Thick, heavy wax. Did I tell you I wasn't a fan of this wax garbage? I carved some off the top and it's still covering the damn top of it. Wax on the top of a beer, guys, is like tits on a boar hog. It's freaking useless. The wax come about on corks. Because you lay those kind of wine bottles down and age them for a while. And keeps the cork wet. Keeps any air from getting into it. Well, as far as I'm concerned, that does not apply to beer bottles because they got a plastic liner inside of them. So, just something to add cost to the beer. Well, hopefully I got enough. Let me carve out a little niche for the opener to go in. Just something to make a mess on your table, on your floor, on your counter. It's absolutely freaking useless, guys. Alright, let me get the opener in here. Nice hiss on this. Very nice hiss. Ooh, I'm getting some brandy notes already. Let's get it into the glass. Cuisine is barbecue. The cheeses are buttery, brie, Gouda, Havarti. Let's go down the center. See what kind of head it's going to generate. We better back that off. It looks like it's fairly well carbonated. Gouda, Havarti, Swiss, goes well with your chocolate dishes. The meat's beef, smoked meat, and grilled meat glassware. Pint background, tumbler mug, style Sidell, snifter. Oversized wine glass. I've got my favorite snifter. And according to what Beer Advocate says here, it says not recommended for ascendant cellaring. I don't see any reason why you couldn't, other than the coffee that they have supposedly used in the brewing of this beer. So, about a quarter finger of head on that pour. Let me get my big old hand out of the way and get it over into the light. I'm not seeing any, not even through the thin part of the glass. It's pitch black, guys. Looks like a stout in a glass and not a porter. Let's get a nose on it. Definitely getting the brandy. The brandy is there, guys. And it's so heavily, it's covering everything else. Might be a little bit of roasted malt in the nose, but it's right out of the bottle and it hadn't had a chance to breathe or warm up. I'm sure a lot more notes are going to come out once this thing sets for a little while, and even 2 or 3 minutes it's going to open up a little bit more. To me, it's got a buttery, brandy aroma. But everything else is mask. I'm not getting a whole lot right out of the fridge here. But the brandy's there. So let's dive in and see what we got. Cheers, everybody. Cheers, Donovan and the guys out there at Servall Liquors. If you're in the San Diego area, stop by. Tell Donovan and the guys that Greg said hello. Cheers. Little bit of coffee in there now. I don't know if it's got any kind of dating on it at all. It's a very dark bottle. We'll take a closer look when I come back for the final chug after I've sipped on it for a while. Does have a little bit of a butteriness or butterscotchiness to it, and that may be from the brandy. Seems to be fairly decent, guys. But we need to let this warm up. We need to let it come up to room temperature. Sip on it for a while. Maybe step out on the deck and fire up a stogie to go with this. Those cigars go very well with these dark beers, and especially these barrel-aged beers. Final beer of the evening for me, so let me let her have a sip 2 or 3, and we'll come back and see what it ends up being. Alright guys, I'm back. Got just a little left here. Big brandy notes on this. Roasted malt. Slight hint of some coffee in there. I think the coffee's probably faded a little bit. When you're introducing some kind of cold brew coffee, then you're putting it in a barrel for however long, 3, 6, 8, 12 months, that coffee's going to fade while it's in the barrel. Then you're putting it into a bottle and not putting the vintage on the bottle, which is, this is probably a once done beer, been done in brandy barrels, and had the bottles specifically printed up for this beer, and not going to do it again. Why not put a vintage on it? And going to their website, and this still doesn't have it. If they're using different colored wax for different versions, they should say that on the website, and it does not. Kind of surprised, since the Miller Coors is involved in this brewery now, and don't know how much influence they have on the brewery, but we need a vintage, at least. Bottom line, at least on there. This is a 2014, 2015, 2016 edition of this beer. Even though it's only done once, another reason why it should be on the bottle. So, just how I feel, guys. You know how I am. Very nice beer, a great final beer of the evening. Big brandy notes on this beer, roasted malt. Not so much coffee at this stage of the game. Just a slight hint. The one we did yesterday, the Fairhope coffee beer, had a lot more coffee notes than this does. Final go. To me, guys, they wasted their time introducing coffee into this beer and then putting it in a brandy barrel for a while, because the coffee notes have faded. And not knowing the vintage of the beer, and they could just as easily done that and put, it was a 2015 or 2016 on there, would help us know how long the beer will age with coffee in it. So, I'm not sure. I looked at the bottle. There's nothing written on the bottle whatsoever as far as a vintage or a date or anything like that. So, very nice beer. To me, guys, without the vintage on there, as far as a brandy barrel aged beer, very tasty. A beer. But for a beer that's had coffee introduced to it and not have a vintage on it, even though it's barrel aged, B+. And that's where I'm going to put this, B+. Numeric rank for me would be 89. It is right on the scale, but I want to see a vintage on these style of beers, especially if they're having somebody standing at the end of the bottom line, dipping these things in wax. And it's got a silk screen information label on the bottle, which they're probably haven't done it before or not going to do it again, because this is a one-of beer, brewed once. They could put the vintage on there just as easily. And with Coors Miller being involved, I'm surprised it does not have that, because those guys are into the dating of their beers, especially the cheap horse piss stuff that they put out. Budweiser, Miller, Coors, all those canned beers have a date on them. Born on date or a canned or bottled on date on those beers. So very surprised that they're involved in not having any date on the bottle itself. So probably a pricey beer. Like I said, I got this from Donovan and the guys out there at Servall Liquors. If I seen this on the shelf here and not knowing what the vintage is on it, I probably would not spend my money on it. And being a wax dip beer, brandy barrel aged on top of that, I'm sure it's not a cheap beer to buy. I would not be afraid to say this is a $20 to $30 bottle of beer. So, with that being said, you've got my ratings. Over to Beer Advocate, they have none. Not 10 people have commented on this beer. Over to Rate Beer, same deal. Not 10 people have commented, and our final check-in is Untapped. They have it at 4.27, which is in their A category. I'm not going to go there, guys, because it does not have a vintage on it, and it is a high dollar beer with a wax on top of it. They could just as easily put that on there for us to know. And being coffee infused on top of that, and then barrel aged on top of that, that lets the coffee fade over time. So I don't know how long it was barrel aged. Not a lot of information on this beer, and they've done several different versions, bourbon barrel, and several different other versions of this beer. So another reason why I think it should have a vintage on it. So that's where we're at on this beer. If you've had this one from the St. Archer Brewing Company, and these guys are out of San Diego, California, let me know what you think. It's a very tasty beer, a great final beer of the evening. We need more information, especially for a brewed once beer, which I probably think this is. So if you've had it, let me know what you think. Come on back tomorrow. Let's take something out of the fridge. See you then.